Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Friday afternoon here. I am actually in Jerusalem and will be here for the holiday. This is the first video that I'm actually doing since I've gotten my Facebook account back. I'll discuss that very, very briefly and tell you what's going on. And of course, a lot of big things have moved forward since I've been blocked on Facebook for the last 30 days. The people who tried to censor me, they made a huge mistake. I have IP addresses. I have fake profiles of them. I have their friends who are very well-known people here in Israel, who I will expose their connections to these people, as well as expose some of Facebook's strategies on how they're blocking people who disagree with their political agendas and views. But that's not what I wanted to talk about today. Today I want to talk about specifically the holiday of Pesach, the holiday of Passover. I want to talk a little bit about what actually happened on Passover. What are we celebrating? And how do we look at the difference between freedom and responsibility? Do they contradict each other? Is it one and the same? We're going to discuss these things in over the next couple of minutes. I want to, again, invite you to please invite your friends and family in, share this out, and let's try to get as many people as we can. If you are in the house, please do say hello and let me know where you're tuning in from. I want to remind everyone that due to social media, what should we call it? Social media censorship, I have opened up a new website which I'll be sending some emails out weekly or bi-weekly with all the information from Israel. We got a lot of giveaways going on there. We got a lot of IDF paraphernalia, Israel paraphernalia, sales from Israeli artists and jewelry makers and other stuff, as well as a charity page where I will be checking different organizations to make sure that due diligence and that they're a real organization. You have a chance to donate to your choice of many different great organizations that are coming out of Israel. So what I need everyone to do here is there's a link right there for the new website. Definitely give me a hand there. And what I want you to do is, I think, there we go, pin comment. Right there, the comment's pinned. All right, so Matt is in the house. Let's see who else in the Patricia's in the house. How are you? It's good to be back, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, happy Passover. Okay, let's talk a little bit. So the Jews were stuck in Egypt for over 210 years. Marianne, Chag Sameach, and they attempted a genocide. Pharaoh was throwing the Jewish babies into the Nile. It first started with the Jewish boys because Pharaoh saw in the stars that a Jewish boy would save them, but eventually he started started killing all the Jewish children. And we were 210 years in slavery, and you can imagine the feeling of hopelessness in slavery. 210 years where we don't have freedom of anything. We can't move, we can't eat, we can't drink. We're constantly working for the government there. And if we don't bring out what we're supposed to bring out and we don't finish the work, we're whipped and beaten and have absolutely zero rights. The nation of Israel, obviously, we were at our wits' end. We had no hope. And then comes along this man who was actually born during the times of the bondage and slavery, whose parents actually did not want to have children. Parents did not want to have children. They said, what do we have to have children for? We're in slavery. There's no future for our children. And at the end, they did have children. We know that Moshe and Aaron, Moses and Aaron were born. But Moshe, interesting enough, was brought up where? Was brought up in Egypt, in Pharaoh's house. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Everyone, please do share this out right now. Let me know if you're sharing. I'll give you a shout out right here. And then, being brought up in Pharaoh's house, you're being brought up in the ideology and the philosophy of Egypt. You're speaking the Egyptian language. You're not connected to your Jewish brothers and sisters. You're not in pain. You're not in bondage. You're not in slavery. He was being brought up in the castle under Batya, under the daughter of Pharaoh, who actually saved Moshe in the Nile. So with this kind of ideology, you can imagine this kind of social conditioning. We'll call it even, where they say that people he was born into a better family, right? He had more possibilities, while the Jews were very poor and they were working. Moshe was brought up, what's the word they use in America when people are born into a better atmosphere, a better house? He was privileged. That's the word, privileged, right? So he was privileged. And yet, the second Moses goes out to the people, who are his people, the Hebrews, the Jewish people, who again he had no connection with since he was born. He sees the pain of his people and strikes down an Egyptian, kills an Egyptian, and then has to go running and hiding because after that Paro actually wanted to kill him. And then eventually he does come back and he tells the nation of Israel that I'm going to take you out of Egypt. Of course, the nation does not believe him because who would? You're in 210 years of slavery in the most powerful country in the world. This man who was brought up in Paro's house seems to be part of the problem, and he's promising to take us out of Egypt by miracles of God. You know, you can imagine the Jews for 210 years saying, where was God when our children were being thrown into the Nile? The questions must have been tremendous for 210 years. The Jews asking questions, where is God? Well, why is he allowing this to happen to us? Our children to be murdered, genocide, and working for a king and not allowed to strengthen our family connections. Remember, they were talking about the generation below Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Chag Sameach, Sarah. And so you can imagine the questions. So the questions, though, were being asked without any belief of an answer. In other words, they asked the question, they didn't really expect an answer. And when Moses was saying, I'm going to take you out of this, of course they went. Why would they believe him? No reason for them to believe him. At the end of the day, we did get out of Egypt, and we, of course, were 40 years, had to travel in the desert for the sin of the spies. But what's interesting is in the first Passover celebration, when we got out of Egypt, we were given two mitzvot. We were given two commandments that we had to take on. One was to take a sheep and slaughter the sheep, which again the sheep was one of the gods of Egypt. So we're taking the god of our masters and slaughtering in front of them, and then we put the blood on the posts of the doors, right? And we know that the word Passover comes from that God passed over the Jewish houses and didn't kill the people inside, which actually it's a mistranslation. Pesach or Pesach means had pity on the Jews. But the question is, why do we need to do this? Why do we need to put blood on the doorpost? Did God really not know who was Jewish and who wasn't Jewish without us putting blood on the doorposts of the houses? And why do God wants to stick it to the Egyptians, right? Just let us go. Just get us out of here. Let's get out of here. What's this idea of taking their God and slaughtering their God in front of them as if they, hey, look at us, right? And so those are the two, main commandments that we received, where God basically said that it was on those merit that he'll take us out of Egypt. So I think that there's a big issue here, and it would tie us all together, that people talk about freedom, right? Now, when it comes to the commandments of the Torah, it talks about a weight on our backs. In Hebrew, it's ol malchut shamayim, the weight of believing in God, the weight of the commandments. It's a tremendous weight that 613 biblical commandments, and of course we have the rabbinical decrees that we have to keep. It's a tremendous amount of responsibilities. So is that freedom? Is that what freedom is? I mean, freedom is, you ask me what I would rather do, right? And on a Saturday, I'd go to the beach, drive to the beach, drink some beer, have a good time, right? What would I rather do in my life, right? If I had total freedom. You wouldn't go to work. Why'd you go to work? Well, waste time working, go have fun, right? You only live once, right? So people mix up freedom with carelessness. And there's the big difference between things. When we say that we were freed from bondage, it doesn't mean that we go and do whatever we want, we go waste our life away. No. We were taken out from the jails of those who hated us, the jails of those who wanted to destroy us, those who would not allow us to live according to our potential as the Jewish people. The freedom that we received from getting out of Egypt was the freedom to do what we're supposed to be doing. And there's no contradiction between freedom and responsibility if you understand the importance of that responsibility. In other words, when we have children, right, we want our children to be happy and free and so on and so forth, but we send them to school, we force them to go to school, we force them to do things because there's a certain value in life that it's not just about carefreeness and going out and not thinking about anything what's going on in the world. So when the Jews got out of Egypt, yes, we were freed from bondage and slavery, but it doesn't mean that we could just do anything with our lives, but rather now we have to adopt some importance, some value to our life, and to live life according to the way God wants us to live our lives, right? Through tragedy, we can certainly see this, that anybody who's lost someone dear to them, your first reaction is anger, right? How could you do this to me? How could God take this person away from me? How could this happen? Where was God in the Holocaust? Where was God here? Where was God there? And these are all tough and good questions that there are no answers for. But the issue is the following: what do we do from that point on? Do we give up? Do we give up, or do we say now that we have to live our lives with value? Right, those who have relatives and people who were killed in the Holocaust, right? There's a lot of questions and answers. But now we're here, we survived. What now? What now? Should we just be angry and say, okay, well, I don't care about anything anymore? We give up and that's it, or do we live life with value and live the way that our ancestors would have lived? And the reason they died was for being Jewish. So do we strengthen that Judaism, or do we give up on it? I certainly am not giving up on it. I'm certainly strengthening it. My daughter actually just came back from Poland, which was my son just came back from Poland, which is a tremendously difficult trip. And he came back extremely, extremely turbo boosted, strengthened from that trip, which is a strange thing. And I said to him, what? And he said, look, we saw what happened to our people. My responsibility is now to stay strong. So when we say free, right, it doesn't mean waste your life away with things that don't matter. We say free to live your life for what's important. So, I have a little story that many years ago, around 10 years ago, no, longer, 15 years ago, my family, we took a trip to Africa. Beautiful, beautiful trip to Kenya and Mombasa. And we saw the Maasai warriors. We saw a bunch of people there, right? And they're living their lives the way they think they're happy. And we brought pencils to them and stuff to them. And they were oh my God, pencils. They were ecstatic about it. And I had no idea what they were talking about. Like, what's the big deal? It's just a pencil, right? And I realized that that the culture difference is tremendous, but who's right? Who's right? Right? They're living their life the way they think is right. We're living the way that we think is right. Who's in the right place? And the truth of the matter is that there was a little bit of envy there because their life was simple. When I mean simple, I don't mean no internet, which is true that no internet, no electricity. No, I'm talking about didn't look like there was any status race. They went out and they hunted for their food. Whatever they ate, and there was nothing beyond that. And there was I felt there was no fakeness there, right? Do I want to live like that? No, I'd rather be a little bit more comfortable the way I know how to be comfortable. But we learned from the Exodus of Egypt is very, very important, and I think that this is the lesson. When we're set free, when we're being held back, it means we don't reach our potential, right? So imagine I bring these people in Africa and Kenya who never saw an iPhone. I bring them an iPhone. I said, here, check it out. And they look and I go, what's this? And I say, it's an iPhone. They don't know what an iPhone is. And I say, here, go ahead, use it. Now, they don't even know how to turn it on. And I give it to them. And, I leave the room and I come back 20 minutes later and they're playing catch with it. And the guy's breaking it and this and that. And they're playing tennis with it. I'm like, what are you guys doing? What are you doing? So what do you mean we're having fun with the iPhone? I said, but that's not the potential of the iPhone. And they said, well, we don't care. We're having fun. So the fact that they're having fun is very nice, but they've wasted the potential of this machine that I gave to them. So if that's true for a phone. That's certainly true for our lives. And the idea is that given freedom to live up to your potential is a tremendous gift. But if you waste that gift, then you've wasted your freedom. If you waste your life away with things that are not really relevant and important, if you waste your time with things that are just, the truth of the matter is we can all know what's really important to us and not, is think about what you want your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren to remember you for. Is it your job? Is it your car? Is it how big your house is? Is it how much money you had? Of course, everyone should wish everyone to be wealthy and everything else. But that's not priorities. That's not where the importance is. That's not why we're living. We don't take money to the grave, right? So then what's really important in life? And that's the whole purpose of the holiday of Passover. The holiday of Passover, we were set free, but we don't want to forget the past. So we eat this poor man's bread. This unleavened bread, which tastes like, it's cardboard. Some people like it. I personally don't. But it's not good. And we eat bitter herbs tonight during the Seder, the Passover Seder, the whole meal, the special meal we have, where we go through theatrics of playing out the whole Exodus again. And the question is, why? Why do we have to go back to the pain again? Why don't we just start with the happiness? And the answer is very simple. Unless you remember the pain, your appreciation levels are not as strong. When you remember where we came from and where we got to, then your appreciations are strong. Someone living in Israel today, right? I just got back from IDF training literally yesterday. It's extremely difficult, emotionally, physically, and everything else. The week before Passover, I was there for my birthday, my wife's birthday. It wasn't easy. at all. Of course, it wasn't easy. But the point is that, you know, there are things in life which are just very, very pertinent. They're very important. They're extremely relevant. They're extremely relevant. And the whole point of Passover is we're given the freedom to make our lives relevant, and that's what we really have to do. All right, everyone. I want to thank you for tuning in. Please do share this out. Let me just give you a little bit of update what's going on with Facebook. So, obviously, my account has been open, and I will give you a full update after Passover when I do the full video. I have the people who actually reported me. They reported me from fake accounts, and those fake accounts, I know who they belong to, which I will show you proof of that, and they're friends of some pretty infamous people in Israel, which I'm sure everybody here watching knows, and I will show you the proof to that as well as Facebook's reaction to my complaint to them. But what I do want to tell you all is that, you know, this tool, Facebook, it's still an amazing thing, but we can't rely on it. And so what I did was, in order to become independent from this platform, is I opened up a website where I will be putting out the latest updates from Israel, news updates and blog posts and different information on how to defend Israel, as well as have a schedule up there in terms of speaking events around the world, which I'll be doing over the next year. I do have an email list which will be going out weekly in terms of Israeli updates. We'll be doing interviews with celebrities from Israel, politicians, athletes, and anyone else that I can find. We're going to be having an online Israeli mall, which will be selling goods, homemade goods from people here in Israel, everything from jewelry to art to other Israeli paraphernalia. We're going to have an IDF page where you can purchase IDF paraphernalia, insignias, and from different units, and even clothing from different units, where some of that money will be going to the soldiers. And then we're going to have a other page which will be a charity page, which I'm going to choose around 10 to 15 organizations here in Israel who I will be due diligence with and see that they're doing a very, very good job and you know, running their organization in an honest way. And I'll put those up there with obviously information about those organizations. You can donate to these places. I'm going to give you whatever I can for you around the world so that you can keep up to date with what's going on in Israel and support Israel in any different ways that you'd like to. But I do need your help with this, okay? Because the power is in the numbers. The reason that Facebook has so much power over people is because of the numbers themselves. So what I did just now is I put up the link right there. It's my new website. There are two things that I need you to do. Number one is sign up for the newsletter, sign up for the email blast. Number two is share it out with people, let people know what it is. It's all in the numbers, people. The only way that we can take control is if we have the numbers to say to Facebook, you know what, we're just not relying on you anymore. All right, everyone. Wishing everyone a very, very beautiful and happy Pesach, happy Passover from the beautiful rolling hills of Jerusalem, Israel. Let me turn this around a little bit so you can see what it looks like.
Recording.
All right. I saw someone here before, Mark David. I don't know who you are, but I appreciate you if you respect my religion and my beliefs. I'm Jewish, and therefore you can believe whatever you like, but please do not come proselytizing on my site. That'll have to make me ban you off here, not because you're Christian, but don't proselytize on my site. All right? I expect you to please respect my beliefs. I respect yours. I'm not coming on your feed telling you what to do, so don't do that on mine. Thank you very much. All right, everyone, have an awesome Passover. Pesach Sameach, Chag Kasher V'Sameach to all those of you watching from all around the world. Please do say hello and let me know where you're tuning in from. And don't forget, sign up for the website and share it out to others. And let's get this going, everyone. Take care. Chag Sameach from the beautiful city of Jerusalem, Israel.